Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the AUD podcast channel. I'm your host, Khalid Abul Jubain. We are honored to have Mr. Bassel Kakish as our guest on the show today. With over 20 years at Publicis Group, Bassel has held various strategic roles. He is now the CEO of Publicis Group for Middle East and Turkey, and he is focused on strengthening and expanding the group's offering to help clients succeed through disruptive creative strategy, analytics, and insights. In this episode, you'll learn the importance of having the right talent, why brands today need to focus on hyper-personalization, how organizations can become future-proof, and the intersection of data, technology, media, and creativity. Please join me in welcoming to the show Mr. Bassel Kakish.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I know you're quite busy, so we really appreciate your time, Bassel. So Bassel, today I wanted to focus kind of on a couple of things. Leadership is one thing. As a CEO, I'd like to understand how you think companies should be run. I know we spoke briefly just now that talent is something quite important for you. Also wanted to get your thoughts on, the communication industry, where are we going, what are the new trends over the next few years, and a couple of other areas. But before we get into everything, Bassel, why don't you just give us a little bit of background about yourself, and we'll take it from there.
In Dubai since '98, I started my career in consulting, and then I moved to the group with Leo Burnett. For the past 20 years, I've been working for an amazing group of talents from Publicis Group. My last responsibility that was added is for me to become the CEO of the whole group for Middle East and Turkey, Pakistan too.
Yeah.
Our total talent pool is around 3,600 amazing talents.
Wow.
And literally, I work for them day in, day out. The interesting question about leadership, I think there is no answer that fits what today's leader need to be, because I think it's a combination of so many things.
Interesting. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Because today the leader cannot be. There is no I in a leadership.
Okay.
Especially when you're looking at such a diverse times, the insecurities, the challenges that we all face. There is no I in a leadership. There is a we, and there is a team of amazing talent that always make me look good, from my perspective. I do the easy job, they do the hard job, and for that, we've realized that being in the servicing industry, or the communication, if you want, or the tech, we are as good as our people, and we refer to them people. I like to refer to them as our talents. And the challenge here is, how can we continue to attract the best talent in the market? How can we continue retaining those talents? And how can we grow these talents beyond the ecosystem that is currently, or to make sure that they are growing at a higher pace than the market?
Yeah.
So, there is no easy job for our CTO. I think he's busy, and we have, an amazing talent team that is managing the whole vertical. So again, it's we're a talent first organization, and we will continue being that for now till forever, I would say.
That's awesome. That's really interesting to hear that, because that you're so focused on talent. I know talent is important, obviously, and particularly, like you said, in the service industry, the product is your people, because they're going to develop it for you, right? And you said in an interview once that our job as leaders is to empower talent. Sometimes I think there's a misconception that if I'm the CEO of a company, whatever, it's like it's almost like a dictatorship in a way, like you work for me. But your perspective has always been, like you just clearly said, to empower the talent. So the question I have for you is, why is it that there's some leaders who still have that mindset that, no, you work for me, and I'm going to run it like a dictatorship, for example, or someone like yourself who understands the importance of people and your job is to empower them. You're almost of service to them. Could you explain from your perspective, I guess, why is there those two different perspectives still?
I think you have, again, I don't want to say it's the maturity of the leadership in terms of the organization per se, but I will tell you from my perspective, I want to make sure that I always have from our talents and people who I take advice from are smarter people than I am.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, we have that humility within the group to say, you know what, though I am the CEO, but I don't know it all. That's why I have an amazing talent behind me and with me that they will guide me as and when I need their support and advice. The challenge with today's leadership is not about a command and conquer approach or an ivory tower and I'm the greatest and bow by me. It's whenever you bring talents to the journey, you will drive better results, you would have a higher engagement within the organization, and most importantly, the popularity that you will get is that rather than one hand clapping, you would have 3,600 clap already with you, backing you supporting them because that's the whole thing, is about empowering those talents.
Yeah.
Now, in defense of the other leadership styles, the leader might be in a position in which he needs to make the decision in that top-down approach, is that when maybe they don't have the right talents within their organization. So they will end up taking the whole decision themselves. If I don't do it myself, it will not get done.
Gotcha.
So, and that's where I'm saying the maturity is just making sure that as a leader or as a future leader for our, your current students, our potential talents or future talents, is trust your instinct, trust those who are around you, and make sure that keep on getting people around you that are better than you.
It's interesting. I never thought of it. I never thought of the other side, the defense of the leadership from that perspective. I'm a big supporter of the way you think. That's how I would potentially run a business myself. And I've never been a big fan of that because I've been in those organizations and I didn't enjoy it. But it's a personal thing. But I never saw that other side. So thank you for making me think about that. When you talked about trust just now in that, and one of the things that you said was when you took on your first role as a CEO, one of the most important things was taking out the me in the decision making, and I thought that was quite refreshing. But not just that you want to take yourself out, that no matter what, the responsibility will still fall on you. So I think if I was like part of your team or something, that would make me feel quite trusted, and not only that, protected, because sometimes not everything, works out. So my question to you is, what was the reason it was so important for you to approach it from that direction, and why in organizations today is trust such an important factor?
I think trust is, if not but one of the most important, I would say, human interaction point. So, and again, as you know, in the trust game, I don't trust someone 50%. So trust is either a 0 or 100. And you need to be, you need to have that conviction as a leader that, for me, if I have those talents around me, I trust them at 100%. I don't worry about keeping information away from them because, I don't know who has what agenda. So the fact that the trust is the ecosystem that keeps us all connected. We do have a huge mix of talents, and we have the inclusivity of, I would say, more than 55 nationality.
Wow,
different ecosystems, different preferences, etc. So you just need to keep on evolving and making sure that the only currency that connects everyone around is the fact that I trust you as my colleague, I trust you as my manager, I trust you like my, a reporting line. That's the core of whatever we have, and I want to keep on pushing as far as the group is concerned in the region.
I think you said something that's actually pretty true. Trust does not it's either 0 or 100. There's no 50%. 100%. And when he said that, I'm like, actually, yeah, he's right. There's not like I kind of trust this person. Either you do or you don't. So I think that's really important. Also, talking about how create that trust is that intangible thing that connects everyone together. Because if you don't have that, like you said, you don't know everyone's agenda. But I think it sounds like it's trust first. Like, I'll trust you until proven otherwise. Is that kind of how you approach it?
Yeah, 100%. So it's even start with the fact that we have the right talent, yes or no.
Okay.
you have the right talent and you trust the right talent.
Yeah.
So it becomes that you have the capabilities, you have the right requirements, you have everything to be part of the group. And once you do that, you're going to be trusted, you're going to be held empowered to make your own decisions within the agreed framework that we operate with. And however, the most important thing is for you to be accountable.
Absolutely.
So the accountability is the key thing. Whether the accountability is negative or positive. Accountability, if you're positive, you've delivered or you've done something great, is for you to be recognized. There is a lot of challenges that were in the business before, and I'm not talking here Publicis Group, but it's in general.
Yeah.
Because of limited resources in certain times and the difficult times that the industry had in general, you would be able to promote certain people and not others, and you always kept saying that we're going to do this for you, but please don't tell anyone, because we don't want to celebrate or we don't want to piss someone off or etc. So ultimately, all these talents are young, all of them talk to each other, and you create an environment of mistrust and an environment in which it kills the performance. So we've said that we're going to change all this. And for us, going back into the component of the communication and the aspect of what is it that we want to do differently, is that we're going to, those who are accountable and those who will be empowered and held accountable, positive or negative. If they're positive, we're going to celebrate their success. And if they're negative, we're going to take action. Because as you know, if in this today's world, you're driving a performance culture, there is nothing that kills a high-performing individual, seeing a non-performing individual getting away with it.
True.
So that's where, going back to, I always say that our talent teams are extremely busy. We've restructured the organization in which we have the talent vertical, managing all the common ban, career progression, performance, plus the other general requirements. So the more focus is on our talents and our talent organization to drive the talent first, modus operandi that we want to have.
Sure, and I think that makes a lot of sense with regards to the accountability aspect. I think it's fair. I think if you're not performing, you take action, but also, which is the other side that maybe doesn't get emphasized enough, is to celebrate when you do perform well. Yeah. I think there has to be that balance, because like you said, why, if I'm killing it and whatever, and there's someone I know who's not doing anything and it's fine, and I'm it's fair. I think it makes sense, and you don't want to create that environment where someone's starting to think in that way.
What's the critical thing on this, just to
please
close the loop per se, is in between all of this, you need to have the feedback culture.
Of course. Oh, okay.
So it's not like if we have an objective that we will only assess it in 12 months. We need any leader who's looking after careers of other talents within the organization. It's their obligation, and we insist on their obligation, is to keep on giving continuous feedback. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing great, from your perspective, you think that you're doing great. And if your team leader or your manager is not giving you that feedback, you would assume that, come 9 months, 12 months down the line, I thought I'm doing great. Then you'll get your 360, what we call as 360 feedback, in which say, you have lacks in X, Y, Z, and E. And then that person will look at it as like, oh my God, I've been blind for so my assumptions is X. So going in terms of giving feedback, telling people what is it that they need to work on and how they need to do it, is I would say if it's not as important as trust, but it's as critical as trust.
Yeah.
So we started looking with our team leaders in terms of how can they give constructive feedback, how can they give actionable feedback, so that I come and tell you, what, this is what you're doing great, but this is how you can do it differently. So you don't feel that you're being criticized. On the contrary, you're being we're helping you in your development and making sure that you are, if you want, future-proof when it comes to what is expected from you, what's your next career growth, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. It's the fact that you brought up feedback made me smile. So one of my background is in sales, and when I was living in Amsterdam, I worked for a people enablement platform. And basically our platform was a feedback platform. So we would give it to organizations to do like the 360s, the weekly catch-ups. Other people could give you feedback, you know, and to encourage that kind of culture. And I honestly, until I worked there, didn't realize how big the impact of feedback is that can have on an organization, on performance. And I've worked in different companies, so when I reflect back now, I know I'm like, okay, that's where I got it. This is where I didn't, and how did that, you know, affect my development? So I think, like you said, feedback is so important. I always ask for feedback because I just want to improve, you know. I think that's fair. But also, like you said correctly, like the correct feedback, you know, like constructive, empowering, not demeaning you, not making you feel, you know, bad, because that's not, you know, the effect that you want.
Correct.
So I know you've been with Publicis now for over 20 years, and like we were saying before, now I think it's rare to find someone who's been in a company for more than like 3, myself included. I know you were the CFO, you were the finance director for a while, you're also the MD of Sapient. So you've had a lot of different roles with different responsibilities, and you're also the chief integration officer as well. And now you're the CEO. So from my perspective, I'm like, okay, Bassel when he was the CFO, he was focused on the numbers. Now when he was the integration, he was focused on integration. Now as the CEO, it's the like everything you're looking at is the overall view. But I'm sure during that experience in each position, you learned things that have now helped you today. So could you tell us how all that has helped you now taking on this new role and these new responsibilities?
Yeah, I mean, I will start by saying, you know, there is an amazing, I would say, a cool guy that once said, started from the bottom, now we're here. So let's not say who's that person, but
yes,
you know, it's a cool song.
I think everyone knows.
Yeah. So when you start from the bottom, you will be able to know exactly how everything works within the organization, and for that you would have that knowledge that potentially others might be lucky to have, or others might be unlucky to have. So this is one thing that helped me, especially from the consultancy background, when I was in another company that now does not exist. You know, it gave me an understanding of the business that usually you would not get if I just look at it from an ecosystem of what my position was and what my roles and responsibilities were.
Yeah.
Then, as and when you move into the career, you will always focus on the things that you have control over.
Absolutely.
And we were just having the conversation earlier, is that the short side that or even within sometimes the mistakes we do, is we want to try to influence stuff that it's beyond our control. Mm-hmm. So, for example, I would not be able to control a specific client of ours spending level. They might have something. Nobody would have ever thought that there is something called COVID that will change the way we operate, that will change the way we communicate, that will change everything that we do.
Yeah.
So those are items beyond our control that we shouldn't even focus on. We need to address them, but those are not our focus. So we go into what is it that within my organization, what are the items or what are the elements that I can control? So the fact that, you know, I was the CFO of the group, it gives me the idea that, you know, the numbers at the end of the day are the numbers. I cannot create numbers.
Yes.
It's the output of so many things that gives me the numbers.
Exactly.
If I don't know how to fix it ahead, then I'm just there as someone who's just reacting to some level of information. So that always gave me the proactive approach in terms of, thinking of, it's not I want to try to save money, but the only opportunity is that what if I don't invest? What will happen? So
it's a different question.
This is 100%. So you're thinking, because you've been so many other. Again, I would always say that I'm lucky because I've been in all these different positions. It gives you the perspective of going back again and saying, you know what? It's all about the talent. We need to make sure that we get those talent, the right ecosystem, be it in terms of resources, be it the right computers for X number of talents, or the right research for our data science teams. So I mean, I would say that I am fortunate because I've seen it all, and I would, as much as possible, try to help and continue being relevant.
Continue being relevant.
Yeah. How is that? You're going to ask me how's that?
How's that?
So do you know that if you look at our industry, it started from a place in which advertising was X, and today there are the expectations of the customers or our consumers that we need to be centric. We need to give them whatever they need at the speed that they need or they expect,
For sure.
and at the relevancy, because the way I would communicate with you is completely different than I will communicate to an X person. Or
Sure.
So that hyper-personalization, it became today's communication world. The core idea remains the most important thing, because the idea of what is it that we are building to a specific client or to solve a business challenge would always remain there. But now how people or how the customers will engage with it has been disruptive.
Yeah.
So, today you have the right to cut us off anytime you want, because if we're serving you certain communication while you're checking X or checking Y, you can skip us.
Yeah.
So we are, as the understanding of how you consume the communication aspect of what is it that we're addressing you is becoming the key thing for the most successful campaigns.
Interesting. So, from what you're saying, so hyper personalization seems like has at scale has now become like the norm. That for you to succeed in the communications world or the advertising world, that has to be there if
100%.
you wanna be successful.
Yeah. I mean, as Nigel Vaz, our CEO of Sapient, global CEO of Sapient, will always say that today the brand is the experience and the experience is the brand.
That's very well said.
I mean, you do not expect that whenever you go and you connect with a certain brand that you will get a separate experience when you are in store, different to how you're communicating with that brand on the app, or benchmarking it versus other services or other solutions that you have available on your mobile or on your smartphone. So that transformation is happening at scale and at a speed that is beyond anything. So going back to staying relevant and making sure that we always ahead in terms of whatever is happening in the region is critical.
Yeah.
Again, I am fortunate that being part of Publicis Group, the group started on this journey 5 years ago, in which they moved away from what they used to be called as the legacy holding company.
Okay.
And we moved into being a platform. Being a platform, like you say, there is companies that they call themselves platforms. We were not doing any advertising for any of them. But the whole thing is that you decide how you want to interact with a specific company. If you want to go with X company, you decide, I want to take music from them, I want to take movies from them, I want to take delivery services from them, or I want to take the whole 9 yards, or I want to be on their cloud solutions, I want to decide if they're going to be my mail providers. So that technology aspect gave everyone the flexibility to operate the way you want and what you want as a user, opposed to what we push as solutions towards you. So you decide, I want to do X, Y, Z, and E because you have it.
Yeah, exactly.
The technology given to you. So that's why we need to always be relevant. With more and more privacy laws that are coming, the approach and how you build personalization at scale will change. In 23, we're going to launch our CRM company, Epsilon, to deliver on all those requirements.
Okay, getting into the CRM world.
Yes, CX is a key. And again, I will tell your students, they are so lucky to be in the region.
Yeah.
They're so lucky, first of all, also to be part of an organization as esteemed as yours. The key thing here is they are in a region that is potentially, and touch wood, for the coming 3 years, they are recession-proof. It's a growth market. Their skill sets are always needed.
Yeah.
And I will always say, these are your students, but tomorrow there are future talent. So continue doing what you guys are doing, and the job market is ready for them. You're lucky because be it in terms of the UAE specific or KSA, those are markets that are hungry for great talents, and we can't wait to welcome you guys within our organization.
You heard it here, guys. Yalla, finish up and send Bassel your CVs. I wanted to come back just for a second to touch on what you were talking about before. I love what your colleague Nigel said, that brand is experience and experience is the brand. So for me personally, I only started thinking about this recently. We had, as we mentioned, Tawfiq last time on the show, and we were talking about this, the connection between your in-store experience and your online experience. And I personally, at the time, didn't think those two were linked. But after speaking to him and now listening to you, I'm more aware that as a brand, whatever touch points you have in whatever ways you're doing it, all has to be consistent and provide you with that same experience. And to your point on now that hyper-personalization is the standard, what you guys are doing is now you're giving, through your platforms, you're giving me the options to literally give me exactly what I want. Like you said, the music from here, the movie from here. And I think nowadays, because there's so many options, I think it makes sense as a brand to provide their customer with the best experience by providing them as much as they can within, obviously, their line of business. Yeah.
Fully agree. And again, one point in time, brands also should realize that we cannot be great at everything.
Sure.
And then focus on where are the areas of your utmost strength and build on that. An interesting one is to show you how the expectations of how, be it in terms of the customer experience on certain platforms, is giving the expectations of the future consumers a complete different aspect or outlook. So if you look at it, let's talk banking.
Okay.
As an example.
Sure.
Today, if you want to open a bank account, you have around 75 different steps that a bank needs to fulfill, be it in terms of what they call as KYC, knowing your customer, knowing your client, and getting the passport copy of your ex, and making sure that your signature is verified before even doing anything.
Yeah.
So the experience of opening a bank account, doing a financial transaction, is so cumbersome in the legacy, and I'm not talking specifically countries here, because we've helped in building digital banks in the region. But before that, so it used to be cumbersome. It used to be you need a physical interaction with someone, etc. Whereas you can do, and in 4 steps, you would be able to conclude financial transactions on iTunes and buy stuff and do X, Y, Z, and E. So that has changed.
Yeah.
And your experience saying, why can I do it here in 4 steps, but I need 6 million approvals to do something else? That's where the consumer and the experience that you have. How easy is it to order something now? It's just a matter of thing.
It's a click of a button.
Click and whatever. Now, completely different than doing it on a call and asking someone and pressing the number 1 and then wait for the the whole thing is changing. And you as a consumer, you have a shorter thing, let alone the kids. So if you today think about it, if you want to think of the future trends of metaverse and blockchain and crypto and all of these, this is, for us, we're thinking that these are new things and they are something that we need. But for the kids, this is their day-to-day ecosystem.
This is what they grow up with, right?
And this is where they're used to.
Yeah.
So they do live in metaverse, be it they play there or they do their own thing. FIFA, they're doing their their managers, and they're building a career in terms of how they manage it, or Fortnite and Travis Scott making his first ever concert, and I watched that because I like Travis Scott. But I was there with my kids, and we're just looking at the biggest ever metaverse. I mean, it's not in the metaverse in terms of what X and Y they want you to do, but that's the principle. All of these are things that we just need to step back and realize things are shifting whether we like it or not. Yeah. So you need to be prepared. That's the I would say that's my 2 cents on this.
Yeah, I think I think the banking example you used is a very good point, because I think everyone can relate to opening a bank account and the experience they've had and what it is today and what it could be, down the line. And like you said, to us it's new, but to the next generation, it's you know, it's like secondhand, kind of like so how we myself grew up like in the the computer's age. So like it was very normal to us. We grew up around the internet and all that kind of stuff, and you have to. It sounds like it's very important to be future proof, and I think that, and we touched on it earlier. It comes that's where the talent comes in, because the new generation that's growing up with this. That is the kind of talent you're going to need in whatever organization if you want to stay ahead of the game. Would you agree with that?
100%. 100%. I mean, the only thing is you need to continue looking at the trends. It might not be that all the trends they're gonna become the future.
Sure,
but
sure.
You need to be relevant and you need to be aware of whatever is happening.
Yeah.
You know, when you started, like you have a lot of brands that they started exploring the NFT. And they say, you know what, if you want to get your latest Yeezys, you need to own, for example, an NFT before
exactly.
or X or Y. Everyone is trying to experiment. I would say the key challenge is they're always looking at it from the ecosystem that is now, or that they are aware of how
that we're currently in
now. They don't realize what does an NFT means for someone who's buying the Neymar on Fortnite. Why is it so important to own the latest X or the latest Y?
Yeah.
When you come and realize, it's like, why would anybody buy X number of an NFT for this much? I mean, it's exactly the same thing of someone buying a physical art.
Yeah.
But for those generation, the physical art is actually the digital art.
Exactly.
And for the legacy ones, the physical is the physical. So again, it's your perception, it's you understanding what is it and when is it and what's the purpose. How can you implement it, and what is it that you really need to know?
Yeah, I think that's a crucial point. Not just what you need to know, is also start thinking about how are you going to implement this in the future to start preparing for that kind of stuff. One thing that you've been cited to be quite, this seems to be your area of expertise, so to speak, is how you interconnect and put things together when it comes to data, tech, media, and creativity. Now, those are four very different areas. I guess from an outsider's perspective who knows nothing, I can see how, but I wouldn't know why I'd have to, for example, like link them together. So could you tell us, like, how do those four areas intersect, and I guess how do they play into each other, and why is it so important now more than ever, to be looking like not just emphasizing on one, but looking at it as a more holistic approach?
Okay, so I'll give you an example in terms of how they are all connected. If you look at the future of media and what media is now currently, the media is nothing from what it used to be. Today, the part of the media channel, part of it is whenever you search for something, or wherever we detect some intent signals that you are as a potential customer or a potential consumer, you're looking at I'm searching for a car. This is what we know about you as an individual. So all of these are powered by data and by tech. So for us to be able to know your intent signals is that we need to make sure that we have the right database. We know who you are from a customer ID perspective.
Yeah.
What is it that you like? What is it that you don't like? And accordingly, how to communicate from a messaging. So that's the importance of creativity. So how we talk to you, because when we say hyper-personalization, the way we talk to you as an individual is completely different than the keywords that works for me. So that is I would say where tech, media, data, and creativity comes at a fully integrated, seamless experiences, and that's again the power of what is it that the group decided to venture in. Now, when you say the importance and how you see it, look at it when you see them fragmented. Okay. If you don't have the right ecosystem, be it from tech and data, you would have the thing is that if you go to an X bank, again doing you want to do a specific transaction, you would have two different systems, be it the bank system who doesn't know you who you are, they know you as a number, and you have your customer relationship management who know who you are as an individual, and if they don't talk to each other, they miss a lot of information that you would expect. That, you know what, If I go to this bank, they should know that I have 3 cars that I owe them, and I'm just giving you an example.
Yeah,
when this is not integrated, you would have a non-seamless experience with interacting with the brand. Because at the end of the day, you are the same individual who is in X mall, getting closer to a specific shop. You are the same individual when you're parking there, or you're the same individual. If you don't have those connection points all integrated, you would not get seamless experiences.
I actually, now listening to you, and I love that we've stayed on the banking example because it's very relatable. It makes, now, like, to me, it makes a lot of sense. I guess I never, like you, when you use that example, seeing them fragmented doesn't make sense because, like you said, and especially nowadays with consumer trends and behavior, like my expectations as a consumer, if I'm interacting with your brand or product, is incredibly high. You should know everything about me. I expect, quick, and like you said, a seamless experience.
Correct.
That's what I would expect. And if I don't have that, there's a lot of brands out there. I will just go somewhere else. So it comes back to that, like you said, that hyper personalization that we were talking about. I'm curious.
Look at the example. You would have just signed a bank loan to buy a car.
Okay.
All right. And you will still get, because your name somehow was there, that a high potential, target of selling, car loans products. You would have signed with the bank, and you've already got but you still get a call from the sales center pushing, are you interested in a car loan? I mean, guys, I've already done it. So why are you disturbing me? So automatically your experience becomes, oh my God, I don't want to answer this bank. I want to move away from this bank. So this is where I'm telling you, the whole thing, whenever you have the interaction, knowing what car you look, what products we give you, why is it that, travel is extremely important for you, whereas for me, investment is more important. So what product we push for you because you like travel is completely different than what investment products I will get because I'm a sort of an investor. And that's where the bank, the same bank can have 2 different experiences, but both customers who have a high level of satisfaction. The same applies to cars, I mean, the whole thing is today you just expect that you want to get relevant communication, relevant offer, and special offer, depending on your requirement.
Yeah.
Now, going into this, and we're saying, tech, data, etc., and then you say, potentially, everybody is going to start doing the same systems. AI is going to, do predictive modeling. Then, based on this predictive model, ML, machine learning, is going to start learning more about you, etc. So, we're going to go into the whole cycle that everyone is doing the same, powered at an exponential thing, because now it's the AI who's building all this and the machines. New laws will be coming out. So the privacy laws is going to get much more strict. Data residencies are going to be more strict, because then you would have, countries realize that the wealth of data that anyone outside their ecosystem have on their citizens, on their customers, on their residents, on their visitors, on their tourists, so much wealth of data. So people are going to start be more stingy when it comes to data. Then if you want to drive in the future, delivering on personalization, you need to change that ecosystem. So if you think potentially, what I would say is that today there is so many companies that is currently using your data and my data. You're not getting the benefit of it. The only benefit that you might get is that you get personalized, hyper personalization at scale, special offers that you will get, not me. But I think sooner or later, that will change once you have strict. People will start to reward you, or companies will start to reward you when you give us your data. So you opt in for us to use, and then you're going to get the benefit out of it. Today, the benefit can be a specialized offer for you, because we know if you have, for example, your medical history, if we know your driving history, etc., we would be able to give you a much cheaper insurance than Bassel, who drives 180 on Sheikh Zayed, and So that's a thought in which you will start benefiting from a consumer whenever you share your data, because currently the consumers are not benefiting. It's the companies who are benefiting from that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a key component of what the future would look like in terms of all the integration between data, creativity, tech, and media. The other key component is the way we communicate and the way we channel things is going to change. And that's where blockchain comes.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to ask you, how do you see, how is the way we communicate, changing, in today's world?
So a blockchain is going to be a key element in terms of how everything will change. If you look at it, I don't see currency, our currency, or the way we used to look at the paper currency it's gonna remain. I mean, you're gonna do digital currencies. You're gonna see digital currencies. Though that I'm not a fan of crypto, because I think anything that is not backed up by a proper financial institutions is again, this is my principle. But again, the cryptocurrency that is country based is what I would expect that this is what will happen. I mean, we're hearing a lot of countries that are in the process of developing their own digital currency or cryptocurrency. This means that your whole supply chain will change. So if you look at it, whenever you used to do the trade finance transactions, it used to be between a supplier and a vendor and a client. That when you have all of them on the same blockchain, it's exactly
snap of a finger.
It happens. Yeah, it happens instantly. So the moment the products are up in the thing, they get the settlement. The settlement gets a line of credits. So it becomes a seamless, real-time transaction. That's why a lot of what we do today is going to be further disrupted. So that's why it makes more sense that we continue investing in the talent, and we just can't wait for the new talents who are way much more in this ecosystem than us, so that they can also guide us in terms of what is it that we need to drive going forward.
No, absolutely, and I love that example that you used, because I think it touches on what you were saying earlier, that it's not about, it's the knowledge of what's to come, like that's how you're staying ahead of the end, the knowledge of what's to come. So for example, in your example, the knowledge is, laws are going to change. Okay, right now everyone's shifted to this ecosystem, but once that comes in, what's the ecosystem we're going to be playing in? And then that's where you start thinking about how are we going to future-proof, how are we going to implement, how are we going to stay ahead of the game? So now you've kind of brought it all home with that example, and I think sometimes it's just hard to think very long term. I don't know how you do it. I don't know. I can't think 5 years ahead. I have an idea, but I think that's where sometimes maybe the challenge comes in with trying to future proof yourself, is how far ahead am I thinking, and how soon should I start this process or this transition, or start shifting things in the business to move forward.
I don't have the answer to this, because the only thing that I'll tell you need to keep on, you need to have a long-term, short-term plan, mid-term plan. You need to keep on planning. You need to keep changing, adjusting.
Yeah.
Again, we can think of what will happen in 3 months. What we don't know is what we don't know.
Yeah.
And the only thing is, once you get to know the problem, a problem that is potentially a problem that you can fix. And then you always keep on having the agile way of operating, so that there is nothing called that this is how we do it. No, okay, this is how we do it in the context of this is why we were doing it this way. But today, if there is a better way of doing it that will challenge the status quo, we should immediately look at how can we do it better. Yeah. That's the whole thing. So
absolutely.
Forecasting, building, planning. I mean, these are all things that we need to do. But I would never say that there's a black and white there. There's like sometimes you need to enjoy the beauty of gray.
Of gray, yeah. And I think learning to enjoy the beauty of the gray is an area that I have been challenged in myself. Yeah. I would have loved everything with zeros and ones and it's just black and white. But obviously, I've learned in my experience, and as you just said, like that's not how the world works. Correct. If anything, it's all gray. Bassel, I want to be conscious of our time, so just have two more questions for you. These are questions that we ask every guest. So on my show, on my own podcast, I had some questions, and I think it's a nice way to round off an episode, and something that you can reflect on in time and see how everyone thinks of this differently. So the first question I have for you is, how would you like to be remembered?
Oh, I don't know yet. I just want to be. I never thought of it. I'm too young enough for me to think that legacy. I have a lot that I need to do. Maybe to say that potentially I'm the CEO who took Yoda's,
sage advice.
Yes, yeah, exactly. As like do or don't. There is no try. I mean, that's what I would like to be remembered on. Is that we kept on pushing, we kept on giving our talents the best. And definitely, when we have the best to our talent, we have the best for our clients.
Clients as well.
No. So this is, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so shout out to Yoda for that one.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But no, I think that's a very refreshing and humbling perspective. To think in that way. Everything you've talked about today, Bassel, which I really appreciate, it's all like. Sometimes I think someone can say something, you can answer a question in like an interview, but that's not, you've answered it that way for a reason. But looking back at everything we've talked about today, it's very clear that you are in the service of people, and it's talent, and don't be afraid to take risks and plan ahead. And on the podcast, what we're trying to do and the message we're putting out is that learning never stops. So could you tell us about something that you recently learned?
Recently learned. We've just launched a specific practice with one of our tech partners, and this is a tech partner that is one of the top globally. I have some understanding of some of the products, of what they have, but I had to do a lot of learning to understand more of their complete product suite and how, as a Publicis group, we'll be able to integrate both their MarTech and their digital business transformation. So I've learned about Salesforce. So getting a crash course on Salesforce products, it was not an easy thing, but it's an interesting thing for sure.
For sure, and I think in this example, it's you as a group. It's very important for you to know that, so you can understand how to communicate with the clients that they're trying to reach.
And by the way, yesterday my son taught me how to do the double teaming in FIFA.
Oh, really?
So this is the first time he told me how to do it. And I was like, why are you winning? Why is your defense way much better than mine? He said, Baba, I do this. I was like,
There you go.
So,
I love that example. And like you said, I think I think that's the message we want to put out, is that it never stops, no matter your age, your position, and so on, and success comes in many different forms. Bassel, I wanted to say thank you so much for coming on the show today. I've really loved this conversation. I've learned so much, and I think anyone listening to this can take a lot away about communication, about thinking like a CEO, about talent, and so on. If people want to connect with you, reach out, work with Publicis, how can we get in touch?
I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I live there. So whoever wants to reach out, we're there. Again, I want to tell something to the students, is that, again, you guys are in an amazing time. I do understand that it's challenging time, because a lot of you might not even know what is it that they want. I'll tell you, you're in a great educational organization, which future-proof you from individual and personality more than just academic. 5 years ago, we have talents that are currently working on certain engagements that were not even existing when they were at school. So take everything with an open mind. Again, we're lucky to be in this region. And wish you nothing but the best. And once you guys are ready, just reach out, and we have an amazing talent acquisition team that is looking for new talents and how you're going to future-proof our organization.
Beautiful. I couldn't ask for a better way to end the show. Bassel, I wanted to say thank you so much for coming. Guys, you heard it here. If you want to get in touch with Bassel, reach out on LinkedIn. If you want to work with Publicis, you can also check them out. I'm sure you'll find them very easily.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for your time, Bassel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the AUD podcast channel. We really hope that you enjoyed it and learned something from it. We have a lot of incredible guests lined up for you on the show, and we're so excited to bring you their inspiring stories. To stay up to date with all the latest episode releases, please make sure to like, share, follow, and subscribe to the podcast on the AUD Instagram page at AUD Dubai.